We're here in Las Vegas, Nevada, fine month of July 2011, and we have the pleasure today of speaking with Barbara Johnson. Barbara, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're born, upbringing, family, that kind of thing?
I'm Deanna Baker.
Oh, Deanna Baker. I'm sorry. I looked at the wrong one.
I know.
My apologies. Well,
Yes.
maybe you can answer for both of them.
Sure. I'll do my best.
I'm sorry, Deanna. I looked at the wrong one. Where you were born?
Sure.
Okay.
In Honolulu, Hawaii. My father was IBM, which stands for I've been moved.
And did you go to high school there?
No, my mother moved shortly after, and I basically grew up in Rock Island, Illinois, in the Quad Cities.
And you went to high school there, I take it?
I did. I actually went to the same high school my mother did.
Really?
Yes, I had one of her teachers.
Oh. Did she mention anything about your mom?
Oh, yes. I looked exactly like her.
How did you, or when did you hear the words court reporting or court reporter?
Well, it was directly after high school. I really hadn't a clue kind of what area I was wanting to go in. My strong skills were typing and shorthand, so secretarial was what I was looking at. And I went on a tour of the American Institute of Commerce, which was right across the river in Bettendorf, Iowa. It happened to be in Duck Creek Plaza, a very small school. And I looked into a room with funny people playing on these funny little machines, and here I am today.
No, it can't be that easy.
Basically, yes.
So during the time you were going to school, does anyone stand out, a classmate or a teacher that was memorable to you?
My teacher was Mrs. Naus. I do remember her. And of course, at the time I was, 17 when I started. And I've lost track of her probably in the last 15 years. And I do remember having a student teacher. I don't exactly remember her name, but I have run into her at various different NCRA conferences to this day.
And so from there, did they have a graduation process or a certification process?
Yes, they did. All three of us graduated.
Oh. And you found yourself gainfully employed, I take it, at some point by?
Very quickly. Let's see. My first job was with Diane Hromick in Chicago, doing Illinois Commerce Commission hearings. Let's see, I think it was 0 and 3 on my Selectric 2 typewriter, daily copy. I was living with Diane in her apartment, and I was there for about 3 months. It was about 2 hours from where I was living, and she got me kick-started that way.
And then?
Let's see, I came back to Rock Island and worked at our court system, which is kind of a good and a bad thing in a very small town. The judge I was assigned to was a member of our church, and I knew him very well, and was only there for about a year in the court systems in Rock Island Superior Court, I believe it was. And one thing led to another. I ended up moving to Seattle and worked there as a freelancer for, about 3 or 4 years. This goes quite a bit. I think I'm part gypsy. Ended up moving to the middle of Washington State and was an official reporter there for about 7 years. Then moved back to Seattle and worked there for Karen Larson and Sharon Smith. And, had a wonderful time in the freelance business there, traveling the world with all kinds of different depositions. It was just marvelous. And shortly after that, it was the Exxon Valdez litigation happened, and I met Marianne Lindley Girton at Leadership Conference, and things had just started at that point, and I basically moved up there for about 1.5 years and worked the trial and the depositions following.
So after working with CARE in Seattle, then what happened?
Let's see. Then shortly after that, various other reasons, I ended up moving to Atlanta and working with Judy Brentano. Shortly after that, I moved to Tucson. I'm getting there. Where I was eventually married, and now I'm in Flagstaff, and I've been there for about 7 years. I was in Tucson for about 10 years.
Well, you are a well-traveled reporter.
Definitely. What other job could you have and do that? Yes.
At some point, you probably became aware that computers were a large part of reporting, or soon to become.
Very much.
And how did you relate to that when you first heard that? Like, this can't happen, this is not possible, or?
Well, of course I didn't understand it, but my instant reaction was I had won a typing contest, and I think I was upwards of 120 words a minute, and I thought, they can't go any faster than that.
So, at some point you embraced computer-aided transcription.
I fought it for a long time, but yes, it was one of those, let's see, our discs were this big.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was sit down and try and wrap your head around, first off, what is a computer? Yes, and my father being IBM, it was rather embarrassing, I didn't know. And understanding what all this translation did. And the theory I learned, of course, was conflicts all over the place. And that took a while to figure out that I'm going to have to do something different. So it was quite the process. I was not a happy camper. I figured I could get around it.
Kicking and screaming into the
yes.
21st century.
Yes.
You've had a varied career and worked both in courts and in Chicago. That was pretty much public utilities work, wasn't it? The
yes, yes.
The immediate copy.
Yes.
In public utility.
Onion skin paper. Yes.
So you've had a chance to see all that reporting has to offer. What would you say have been the most beneficial aspects to reporting? What have you personally derived from having been involved in reporting?
Watching things evolve has been amazing. From where I started, and actually I'm basically a full-time captioner at this point, and seeing where you start from and where you can get to, and the relationships I've made along the way have stayed from day one. In fact, I just saw Diane Hromick in the hallways, and she's very proud of me, and it's wonderful to see, and keeping those relationships along the way, and learning from people, learning from other people of the various different places that we can do our job. I remember clearly sitting in the classroom in 1979 and saying I had two choices of an official or a freelance, and now seeing where these skills can take us. I think that's why I've kept up with it.
What has given you the most pride in being a reporter/captioner?
Well, it was probably starting working with the deaf and hard of hearing community. I've been very involved with the Hearing Loss Association, formerly Self-Help for Hard of Hearing, boy, probably going on 16 or 17 years now, and educating them and watching their lives improve with what they now have to use for accessibilities. And it's opened up their worlds tremendously. And I've really enjoyed being a part of that. It's been phenomenal.